Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we're going to explain how to run your first bench test using an ECU, as well as give you several tips to make your first steps with your new tool successful. In order to make this process easier, you need to select an ECU that is simple to connect.
Select an ECU from a manifold injection system that is in the FULLPROB's coverage. You can find them in this menu. Select an ECU that you know works properly. The best way to start out is using an ECU that has Immo off files. If you don't have access to one, be sure to select an ECU that has only one module in the immobilizer system. Some systems need between 3 and 8 modules connected in order to run on the bench. We recommend choosing a Bosch ECU. Other brands like Magneti Marelli, Delphi, or Siemens need to detect ignition coils in order to function properly. Before beginning the bench test, limit the power supply to 1 amp in order to protect the ECU and your tools. Here we have a Bosch ME 7.5.30 ECU. The original files have been modified so that this ECU starts without the key and the immobilizer system. From the main menu, we select Gasoline ECU Test. Make. Search for the system, and select the system. Open the Pin-to-Pin menu. To connect the ECU, we use connectors 1 and 2. Each connector has 2 branches and color-coded cables. The A branch has more cables, and the B branch has fewer cables. When using connector 2, be careful when you're starting out because the branches look very similar. Now we are going to connect the ECU in stages. We will follow the connections indicated on the table and use the photo to find the pins. In the first stage, we will power up the ECU and check for short circuits. Using the A branch of connector 1, connect ground using the black cable to pins 2 and 28. Terminal 30 using the red cable to pins 15 and 27. Terminal 15 using the orange cable to pins 4 and 51. This system's architecture doesn't include a main relay. When there is a main relay, you also need to connect the yellow and brown cables to power up the ECU. Then using connector 2, connect 5-volt measurement using the orange cable from branch B to pin 62. We then plug in the connectors and switch on terminal 15. Observe the currents. They should be below 300 milliamps. Also make sure that we measure a proper 5 volts for the sensors. Switch off the positive and move on to the second stage. We will connect RPM signals and check the fuel pump relay activation. Connect the fuel pump activation indicator using the white cable on branch A of connector 1. The crankshaft signals are also found on connector 1. If the signal is digital or Hall effect, we use the blue cable from branch A. For analog signals, we use the light blue and gray cables from branch B. Then connect the camshaft signal using the blue cable from branch A of connector 2. Switch on the positive. Observe the fuel pump relay indicator. It should activate for a few seconds and then turn off. Next, generate RPM signals. The fuel pump should remain on. Switch off positive, and in the third phase we will connect injection and ignition indicators. The 4 green cables from branch A check the injection pulses. The purple or gray cables check the ignition pulses. Switch on terminal 15 again and generate RPM signals. We should be able to see the ignition and injection pulses on the screen. In order to complete the test, connect the rest of the sensors and indicators according to the table. We will then be able to modify the values of the sensor inputs and observe how the duration of the injection pulses change, and thus conclude our bench test.
Be sure to join us in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and to activate the notifications so you'll find out when we post new videos. Thanks for watching and see you next time.